Some early season gravel action, uphill drag, and one fierce mustache. The final stage of the Saudi Tour, stage 5. It was supposed to be a sprint stage, but the finish was much harder than I thought. It really had like a 6-7% kicker in it, and we'll see that the guys went way too early on it. So, an interesting little finish, different to the first couple of sprints. In the breakaway, we had Sander Hansen again, who took some more sprint points. There was Malechki for Q3 6.5, some fist bumping action, some sportsmanship, all lovely stuff. Bahrain controlling for, I guess, Milan for the stage. I mean, Buitrago was, I think, third on GC, so him moving up unlikely. Guerrero and Movistar didn't have to really take control for this middle part of the stage, which was good for them. But then teams started getting together because there was this gravel section or sort of sand section. Yeah, I guess you can call it gravel. You can see double Corotech in the break once again. And there's a narrowing there. Luckily, the peloton got through it pretty safely. There's a few bumps. That's the thing. It looks like just gravel, but there is some like road infrastructure and furniture there. And you see Guerrero telling Norsgaard, get on the front and keep us to the front and keep us safe. Norsgaard has done a really good job this week, actually, the big Dane for Guerrero, because there's the crosswinds in the first early stages, and he was always at the front. And there's these little drags. But yeah, you can see, okay, it just looks like a gravel road, but there's, some gutters. There's these strips that you'll see in a second. The peloton has to go over. And if you're behind, like here, they go, whoop, whoop. If you're behind, you might not know that's really coming. And you can come a cropper. But yeah, there weren't too many punctures. There were a few. I think Lobato, it was sort of had like a knee problem, but maybe it was punctured. Movistar did a really good job. Kept growing in front position. Really, there's nothing to report too much because after that gravel section, Jayco took over. They wanted to win a second stage with Groenewegen, who won 2 last year. There's the most active rider's point in 1K, and 40 seconds looks easy, but they still hadn't caught the break by about like 2Ks to go, or just under, is when they eventually caught Malechki, where they were going to sprint around that sort of up that drag near the Mariah concert hall. They finally catch him. Jayco looking good. They got, I think, Purstelberger on the front. Guerrero is just being kept forward by Norsgaard. DSM, I don't know what happened with. It didn't really work out for them with Degenkolb and Van Uden this week. Actually, it just didn't seem to click. The trend always looked good at this point, but yeah, it didn't seem to click this week. Cofidis were the team you can't really see. They got Volshire, they got Consoni, who's like more of a lightweight sprinter. Volshire's a really big classics guy, and they're just out of picture. They didn't eat any wind, whereas conversely, Pasquale moves Milan up with 1.2 Ks to go, and Milan's just eating so much wind. And like Pasquale's strong, of course, but maybe they were just keeping Buitrago safe, but it's probably a 3-kilometer rule, so it's not completely necessary. But yeah, if you moved up early, it seemed in this finish, you just had no legs at the end. And that was true of Milan, who completely perished on his sprint. That was true of Groenewegen, who still has 3 lead-up men. And Milan's going to try and slot in like he did on the stage he won. Obviously, Groenewegen's not going to let him do that. Groenewegen slots through between, I think, Kunter maybe. Actually doesn't. Kunter takes his lead-out's wheel, which is probably a good thing. And you see Consoni gets squeezed off his lead-out man's wheel. He's got Volshire behind him, and the UAE riders kind of get in the way. And so unintentionally, Consoni has to brake. I think he wanted to follow his lead-out man here, and maybe he doesn't win this stage if he does. But instead, he has to pause on his run. And you see this uphill drag saying 7%. It's a little kicker. 200 meters to go. Groenewegen's opened up on what says 8%. So far out, and Consoni comes late. And to be honest, Consoni sprinting like that for 175 meters, and he didn't slow down too much, was really, really impressive. Malicelli came the latest of almost anybody, and he nearly got there to beat Consoni on the line. But impressive sprint for Consoni. The second win for Cofidis in very similar fashion, because Coquard also sprinted for 16, 17 seconds on that uphill finish, which I saw live in person at Wollonga at the Tour Down Under. And this is a really similar finish. And their other lightweight sort of versatile sprinter, who's normally a leader man, Consoni, gets it done. Celebration analysis, arms out. He doesn't know whether to sort of point to the sponsors. He half points to the sponsors, points elsewhere, and then sort of taps his heart later on. It's still going, the celebration. Kisses to the cameras. We love that. And this is my favorite part. He does the Peter Brand celebration. Love that bit. Glorious mustache for Consonni. Big W for him. Takes the win. So a pretty interesting sprint results. No one's consistently winning in the sprints this year across the board, beating Malicelli, Ackermann, Groenewegen, Cantabol, Lobato, Tizza, Sanyok, and Milan. Here's what Consonni had to say after the stage.
To win a stage on the Saudi Tour, you have to be an Olympic champion, a world champion, like Jonathan Milan, your pursuit teammate. It's special to win here.
Yeah, that means that we training well, because next week we will have the European Championship. So the shape of all the Italian track team is it's really high. So happy again about this win, and we can't wait next week for the European.
In terms of GC, no changes. Guerrero wins 8 seconds ahead of Formolo, who stays 1 second ahead of Buitrago in third. Then Grosjean and Milan Bol, Consonni, Bata, Asparen, and Tizza rounding out the top 10. Hope you enjoy these videos. Next, I've got Tour of Oman and Andalusia coming up. So subscribe down below if you want to see them. But until then, ciao.